Everyone, Christian here, and as you can see, we're not outside. I have a little announcement to make. We hit 1,000 subscribers, which is in the big scheme of things not a real big deal. As far as like, there's guys out there that have a million or even 10,000 or 100,000 or a million subscribers, and they make professional videos and they have multiple editors, but you guys know that most of my footage is just raw footage. I don't edit it. The only time I ever really edit anything is when I stop, press the pause button on my camera, and then start again, so you guys don't have to watch me walk from one location to another. But I wanted to make this video to thank everyone for watching and being such loyal subscribers. I know there's a lot of you out there that have contacted me, that they comment on almost every video, saying great stuff, and it means a lot because it makes me want to continue doing this and kind of just making like educational videos. And I really appreciate everyone who has subscribed and commented, and for the most part it's been excellent. I have very few I guess you could call it haters out there, but there's a few people that someone gave me a hard time about my review on the trailer that I had. And I mean, this is a palm and tropical plant review video, channel, not an RV channel. So I didn't take much merit to that. So if you guys can notice, I look a little bit tired and sound a little bit low energy. Gotten about 4 hours of sleep. Just had to do a lot of traveling. Unfortunately, I didn't make it to get some work done. I had to cancel a few things in my schedule thanks to this to the rain this weekend here. Actually still under a tropical storm warning, but it's just a little bit breezy outside, and the rain has almost flooded the streets, but you can kind of get through. But yeah, I guess I wanted to really thank everyone for being supportive and being showing how many people out there really want to learn more about palms around the world. Only I get these stats from YouTube, but only 58% of the people who watch this channel or subscribe to the channel are from the United States. So that means that that more than 4 out of 10 people that watch this are from other parts of the world, like the UK, India, I believe Israel is like up there, so that's pretty neat. There was a story. I didn't want to make this 1K sub video on a bad note, but there was a story. People asked me to tell this story, and I'll go ahead and tell it. I think it's fair enough that you guys have been with me for a year and possibly 2 years, and so this may be kind of a little bit long and drawn out, but just because I'm a little bit tired, haven't had too much coffee yet, and so let me see if I can't start here. So I told you guys about a person who went to Madagascar and collected a lot of the palms that you would know today, like the triangle palm, Dipsis stakerii, a lot of other variations, other species in the family of Chrysotylocarpus family, which is like Dipsis lutescens, the areca palm, Dipsis cabata, Dipsis pembana, lanceolata, and I've done videos, I believe, on all of them. But they're all basically clumpers that have some really nice leaflets and make a great hedge, and they do pretty well in subtropical and tropical climates. So this particular gentleman was a man from California, and sometime in the early 60s, the late 60s, he was a veterinarian, and he was disbarred for charging someone for a surgery on an animal. I believe it was a cat that was never done. So he decided that his life adventure was to go to Madagascar to discover new things. And I mean, that sounds like a great thing. I would want to do something like that if I had the means and the time. And I guess when you're disbarred as a veterinarian, and you don't really have a lot of other options as far as like working in the veterinary world or medical world, you could probably do something else, but not the kind of money you would make as a vet. So traveling to Madagascar, he went there, and this is all unfortunately secondhand knowledge. It's not firsthand knowledge because I'm not hearing from him. He's recently passed away 3 or 4 years ago, and so he went there. He started finding these plants. He thought it was amazing. He made friends with the locals, and he realized that there was, there's a point in time where you find this ability to either make money or have power, and you choose to use it for good or for bad. And I just realized in the background that there's a bunch of pictures and clothes and stuff. This place is a hot mess at the moment, thanks to just we have been moving stuff around and everything, and it's just an eventual thing in progress. Anyway, so you find this power and or this ability, this something, you find something new, and you can use it for good or for bad. You can say, like, someone who's pioneered the internet. They could have done something bad with it, or someone who just pioneered some kind of technology. But this isn't technology. This is someone who found a bunch of new species of palms, and you could decide to preserve them or you could decide to exploit them. And this particular gentleman decided to exploit them by having the natives go out. He would pay them to go and collect the plants, and he told them that if you just had to cut the tree down to get the seeds, and to go ahead and do it. And so if you notice, if you go on, I believe it's the USDA website, so you go to USDA.gov and you look at the CITES, CITES stands for the Center for International Trade of Endangered Species. A number of the plants, the palms that are on that are almost all from Madagascar. In fact, I think every single one is from Madagascar. There could be a couple from South America, but it's mostly Dipsis and a couple other genera from Madagascar, Lemuro Hilluii, and Vaniwala Gerardii. I'm not going to say he created this problem for every single species, but I know for sure there's pictures of him showing natives having, like, holding up a tree, a palm. I shouldn't call it a tree because it's not, but a palm trunk. Well, what appears to be, what not appears, what is a palm trunk, with the crown attached, but it clearly isn't like attached to the ground. So they hacked it off, brought it to him, and say, hey, this is what the palm looks like. So there's really not much. He just realized that there was money to be made to go in there, have the natives pay them probably, who knows, probably next to nothing, and to go start chopping these plants down to get the seeds because they were way up high. Sometimes it was hard to get to, or just easier just to cut the tree down just to pull the seeds off. And that's really not, if you're trying to conserve a species or number of species, that's not the way to do it. In fact, he managed to depopulate some of them so much they went on to CITES Appendix 1, as I mentioned. One of them is actually named after him, which is really sad. So there's a plant, I don't think I've done a vlog on it. It's called Merogesia darianii, and I'm not going to say the man's name, but the species is named after him. So if you want to go do a little of your own research there, but he lived in San Diego County, and so his travels eventually stopped. He got a little bit older, and as the internet kind of popped up in the plant world, he found that there was quite a bit of the ability to find quite a number of customers. Now, I can tell you a couple stories about him and his antics, but one involves my friend Ken from Miami. If you guys have seen the other vlog, there was a Palm Society meeting in Newport Beach, California, basically Southern California. Every 2 years there's a Palm Biennial. In fact, right now it's going on in Colombia. It's really expensive, so I did not go on it because I like to sometimes come back to be still having some money in the bank. So there's a lot of people on there. They're really cool. It's a great, if you can afford it, it's a great trip from what I hear. It's just that it's usually somewhere in the case of $5,000 to $7,000 a person. So I did not go on that. But so this in 1996, Newport Beach was the host city for this biennial, and Ken met this man, and he knew that the man was up to no good. And so in this auditorium full of people, he had the man had not paid to go on this trip. He just happened to live nearby, and so he showed up, and Ken stood up and said, "Hey, aren't you so and so?" And he didn't say anything. Kind of wandered off out of the auditorium, and Ken followed him, and Ken had a few words with him. And Ken's a nice guy. He didn't threaten him or anything. He just asked him a bunch of questions that were really embarrassing, and so he kind of just left. So that's straight from Ken, and that was verified by another person I know that was there. That wasn't just hearsay. So then at other points in his lifetime, he would contact the South Florida Palm Society and say that he wanted to sell at their sales, and which sounds great. He's got a lot of rare. One thing he did have is he had a lot of rare plants that no one else had, and he could pretty much charge wherever he wanted as long as people wanted them. So he told the president at the time of the South Florida Palm Society that he would love to come down and sell if they didn't mind just paying for his airfare and his hotel stays, and which is absolutely ridiculous because they're doing this as a it's a non-profit organization. They're not making money, and to ask a non-profit to put him up like he's some sort of celebrity is absolutely ridiculous. And so he, in his head, he was a little bit off. He thought that that he was this person that just deserved these things, when really what he did for the plant world, on the surface looked like a great thing. He was bringing new species in from Madagascar, but the way he was doing it and the way that he was not a very humble person. He built a garden at his house in San Diego County that was, I don't know how many acres it was. I want to say it was 3.5. But he built these catwalks and these little rainforest areas. And if you guys know San Diego County, if you've been to San Diego is essentially on the verge of a desert. I mean, it is, even coastally, they don't get much rain. So, he was having issues keeping up with the cost of irrigation, which was somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,500 to $1,700 a month, which is actually a pretty decent mortgage. And so that was just the cost of his water bill, not to mention upkeep of everything else that was on the property. So he, if you're protecting the environment, and you have a $1,700 a month water bill, it doesn't really add up for someone, for a residential property. Now, I understand water's more expensive in California. People have $200 or $300 water bills, but if you're draining the water out of the the ecosystem, you're not really doing anyone any favors. A lot of these plants he wouldn't give out to anyone that lived in tropical or subtropical areas. They didn't make it to Miami. There's very few of his plants in, say, Fairchild Botanical Garden. He could have donated a couple of them. He didn't do that because he felt like he could make more money that way. So he was money motivated, and there were reports of people paying upwards of $1,000 a gallon for his plants. And I heard of people paying $15,000 for a $15,000 for a 15-gallon plant. Which turned out to not be as rare as they thought. It ended up being lumped into another species, and that person pretty much got screwed. That plant now is probably worth, in a 15-gallon is maybe worth about $600 or $700. So, a little bit of snake oil sales going on there. He had a couple of associates that would go on his trips with him and do some collecting. I don't think that they were necessarily at fault, except for just say they wanted to make some money. They weren't, having trees chopped down. He had a lot of contacts. It's a little bit of a divide in the plant community because everyone in Florida understood what he was doing, but he didn't have a live audience in Florida. He did have a live audience in California where people would. One other thing I should note: he charged people admission to his property to walk around. Now, I don't know of any other private residence where you have to pay money to walk around and view his plants. So that was not going to a nonprofit agency, that was going directly in his pocket. So to give you another idea of the conservation efforts. I mean, he basically wanted to be his own botanical garden, and just wasn't going to happen. not where he lived. It's just not. He wanted to grow tropical plants in a Mediterranean climate, and he got it done, but at a very big cost and at no benefit to the plants or to the preservation of all the species as a whole. So essentially, it was just he wanted his own garden and he wanted to make money off of it. So anyone that says he was a conservationist is just lying to you. And I had no problem when I first heard all these stories. And then in California, you're going to get a different story. Or you might get mixed reviews. They'll say the guy is not that nice of a guy, but he really tried hard to do what he did, and he did try hard to do what he did. He tried very hard to make as much money as he could off exploiting plants from Madagascar. And so time went on, and basically, I don't want to call it karma, but he just got older. He couldn't take care of his property, so what did he do? He put it up for sale for some obscene amount of money. I want to say it was like $11 million. I think the property without the plants was probably valued at like $3 or $4 million, but he claimed that he had like some of the only specimens of certain species. And at this time, there was more discoveries going on. Other people were getting to Madagascar. A lot of Australians were, and it was just the wind from the storm. A lot of Australians were going there and getting stuff and finding out that a lot of the stuff that he would give interesting names to plants like Dipsis species white stem and Dipsis species big curly and Dipsis species I don't know. They just the names they'd all be sales names. They wouldn't be names that were meant for botanical use. He could just call them whatever. And there's so I don't even actually know what happened. I think someone bought his property eventually, but he wanted someone to buy it and then let him live there till he died, or he wanted someone to hire him as like the gardener there. So essentially, he could still go there and do everything, or live there, but he would just still get the money for the house. So if I were buying a house like spending $11 million, I really wouldn't want like someone either living in it unless I was getting paid for it. Or taking care of the garden. He just was basically out of money. I think he owed tax money. So that's one of those stories that is good and bad. There's some species were introduced here, and a couple Hawaiians got a number of the plants at a high cost, but they're producing seed now where it is going to be great. It's not going to suffer from like drought or even frost out there. It does get a little bit chilly out in that area of northeastern San Diego County, but he didn't want to give anything. He didn't want to give any plants away. He didn't want to, give any to any botanical gardens that I know of. He might have given a couple away, but he could have done a lot more for the community. I don't know if he had some bitter resentment for what had happened earlier in his life, but it's his responsibility to, act in a manner that would keep you from getting disbarred. So when you start off. When people ask me about this person, the only reason I'm keeping his name back, I'm not saying it on YouTube, is because he's no longer with us, and I don't like to disrespect people who have passed away. I never met him myself, so I'm trying to keep it to a minimum, but I do want to tell a story of of someone that I feel is misrepresented in the plant community. So. On the other hand, on a positive note, there are a number of people that do great things in Madagascar. I'm not going to name names because I haven't talked to them. I don't know if they want their names on the internet, but there's a gentleman that I met about 10, 12 years ago through my friend, my Vietnamese friend named Tree, and who's also no longer with us, unfortunately. He was a great guy. He and I had, a lot of fun times together, going looking for plants. We both loved, the rarest of the rare and went to go look for it. But there's a gentleman, he was also, he's actually also a veterinarian. He is still a veterinarian, there we go. And he thought that, it would be a good idea to build a bunch of communities that would provide for education in Madagascar. And so he was taking donations. There was like teaching English and other, just I don't want to say it's higher education. I think it's just elementary. But Madagascar lacks a lot of the infrastructure. It's a pretty poor country. And so he would take like sea cans, which are those big things that you place onto a cargo ship to deliver, and he would have them sent over to Madagascar. and he would fly over there himself and stay there. He collected a lot of plants himself, and he did it, the right way. You pick it off the flower on the plant, not just chopping the tree down. And he to this day still has a lot of cool plants. He has a lot of neat, interesting species of palms at his veterinary office. I don't want to cause a mad rush to his office but he's in the Miami Fort Lauderdale metro area. Really very humble guy. He gave me a community pot of plants that were what I would think that were pretty rare, and I thought that was really cool. He was really all about giving. He wasn't about, if you take two veterinarians that go to Madagascar and you get two different outcomes. And I thought that was pretty cool, showing, the difference. And it's not like Florida's better than California or anything. It's just the environmental factors that led to this first gentleman's, love for money over plants. And then the other gentleman who concerned about education first and then the plants, and then hopefully he educated a number of the people there about the natural habitat they have in the country and how important it is to keep it, sustaining it. So, if you guys like these palm stories, I can continue telling you other stories like this. This is going on well over 20 minutes, but if you guys want to have stories of people that you can look it up. I'm not gonna say, I will give you enough information to find these people, but I don't want to say their names because I don't want to sit there and just call out people, especially someone who can't, they're no longer with us. So anyway, I appreciate the everyone that's been with me, everyone who's given me a call or an email or a text, saying, hey, great information. If I haven't gotten back to you lately, I'm really sorry. I have been a little bit busier than normal. When I first made this channel, I was let's just say I had a lot more free time, and I'd have a lot less free time now. But it's been about 2 years or so since I kind of really started making these videos, and I appreciate it. It's only 1,000 subscribers, but those are the hardcore. Those are the first 1,000. They're watching your raw video. I'm going to try. I don't want to make any promises. I'm looking into getting some camera equipment. I'd like to expand on this. I know I mentioned this in another vlog, and I'm sorry that I haven't shown you that I purchased this nice camera, but I would like to do that. And let me know in the comments if you guys would like to see more edited videos, because all my videos are raw and unedited. If you like to really put say the triangle palm, just put Dipsis Takarii. You want it to look like other YouTube creators? Do you want me to do that? I will look into doing that. I don't have any background in video editing. I'm really not that tech savvy. I can learn, but I just never took any classes in college, or I took computers in high school. But anyway, I might ramble on too much. I'm tired and just talking and talking. I might just not realize I'm even giving you guys any information worth listening to. So I'm gonna leave it there. Again, leave in the comments down below how you feel about me telling more stories like this, how you feel about the video editing, and maybe one of your favorite videos from the past 2 years, and that'd be cool. So thanks for watching, guys and gals, and I'll see y'all next time.